Hey everybody, I made a list of my top movies from 2025 and the end of 2024, but didn't really come out till 2025. I thought I would share this list with you. I'll give you the list of 4 or 5 star movies in no particular order first, and then I'll give you my top 5 horror films and top 5 general movies. So we started out the year right with Sundance movies. The Things We Keep and Em and Selma Go Griffin Hunting were both short films at Sundance last year, and I loved them. And I don't know where you can find them, but they're pretty great. A Real Pain and Presence both came out at the end of 2024, but at least with Presence, I wasn't able to see it until the end of December 2024. I mean, both of them I wasn't able to see until late December 2024. So let's put that on the list. The Brutalist I saw at the end of 2024 as well. Maybe that was early 2025. Other movies from Sundance that earned 4 or 5 stars from me were The Librarians, a documentary about librarians fighting censorship in the United States, and The Thing with Feathers. That was a horror film starring Benedict Cumberbatch, and that was pretty cool. Speak was another documentary from Sundance that I liked a lot. It was about kids using slam poetry to express what they're dealing with and what they think. I shared that with students last year. That was pretty cool. Late 2024 also, Your Monster, and that was kind of like a cozy romantic horror film. VHS Beyond was 2024, but I saw it at the beginning of 2025, and that goes on this list. Mr. Nobody Against Putin was another Sundance documentary about a school teacher who didn't want to go along with a war effort against Ukraine and training his students to be soldiers for the Russian army. Zodiac Killer Project was really, really great. That was horror adjacent. It was like a guy who set out to make a Zodiac Killer film and ended up making a film about what a Zodiac Killer film should include. And it was really cool. The Perfect Neighbor was another true crime type story. It was put together entirely from body cam footage from police officers who were investigating a series of escalating neighbor on neighbor events that culminated in murder. I don't think that's a shocker. I think that's part of the description of the movie. Omaha was a Sundance dramatic film that was about a father and his kids seeking a different life by going to Salt Lake City from Reno, something along those lines. But that was really a good film. Opus was another Sundance film that was horror. I gave it 4 stars. I wrote a review on whisperhousepress.com. I really enjoyed this film. It got a lot of negative press. I don't know why. Honestly, I thought it was a unique take, a new take on a very common set of tropes around cult horror. I really appreciated it. 2000 Meters to Andrivka was another Sundance documentary where the filmmakers were embedded with Ukrainian soldiers fighting on the front lines. It follows on the 20 Days in Mariupol, which came out from the same filmmakers a few years ago, and that I also gave 5 stars to. Getting into kind of more mainstream stuff, The Monkey was my Osgood Perkins first love this year. I watched it a few times in theaters. My friends all kind of were joking, like, we know Steve would love this ridiculous movie. I loved it. Another early 2025 film that I really liked a lot and gave it, I think, 4 stars was Final Destination Bloodlines. I would not give all 5 or 6 of those movies super high rating, but this took an old premise and gave it new blood by giving it, pardon the pun, by giving it a new spin. And I really liked how that worked. Next was Warfare from earlier in 2025, and this was a hyper realistic war film that was upsetting and very good. Moving on to 2025, Sinners was way up there for me, 5 star film, and it's gotten a lot of press for great reasons. It's probably going to hopefully win an Oscar or two. Michael B. Jordan was amazing as two brothers in that film, playing two different characters, but making them not seem like the same guy. I just don't know how. He was great. Everybody was great. The movie was great. The Amateur, I really enjoyed a lot, and I gave that 4 stars for being what it is, which is like an action revenge film. It did stuff that others didn't do, and it was really good. The next film on my list was Bring Her Back, an A24 film from the duo that brought us Talk to Me a few years ago. I was upset by this film, and I saw it 2 or 3 times in theaters. It was superb. Life of Chuck was next. I saw that a couple of times in theaters and really enjoyed it. I thought it was emotionally poignant and really deserves a lot of credit. And Mike Flanagan is doing great things with Stephen King's work. Superman was next. This was a 5 star superhero movie for me. It totally revitalized the Superman franchise from where I sit. It was funny, it was touching, it was just a great Superman story. And I'm a fan of the original Superman movie, plus kind of some aspects of the other earlier films. And I thought they had a lot of humor in them that James Gunn brought back for this. I am not a huge fan of the darker Superman stories. Although I like all those Superman stories, I think they're pretty neat. Eddington was next. It was an Ari Aster film that I didn't hate. I thought that was a five-star movie, and Pedro Pascal is awesome, and the story writing was great. I came back raving about that one. Weapons, I saw several times in theaters and really enjoyed a lot, although it did not meet all of my hopes and dreams. It started as a horror movie and it ended as a kind of supernatural detective story. And I also wasn't a fan of how the creators gave us this structure of keeping with one character throughout the film until they needed to show us more of the story and then they abandoned that. And I didn't love that it seemed like they were committed to this structural choice, but then switched out of it two different times in the movie where I felt like it was just because the plot needed it, and I was annoyed by that as well. Even those two criticisms considered, this is definitely a top film of the year for me. I really enjoyed The Conjuring Last Rites. I went to see it having never watched a Conjuring movie before, and then I came back home and watched The Conjuring 1 and 2, and I enjoyed those, but I actually thought The Conjuring Last Rites was really an excellent movie. I mean, it had all the things it should have. I didn't love the last 10 minutes of the film. Typical American ending to a horror film that would have been better if it would have, let's just say, like a more Scandinavian touch, if things wouldn't have ended so perfectly neatly. Next on my list is Black Phone 2, which I remember watching Black Phone 1 at home and just thinking like this is unique and this is a good story. I really liked Black Phone 2 in theaters. Next is One Battle After Another. I saw this three times in theaters and loved every minute of it every time, and I would go see it again. If I could see it in IMAX with the proper aspect ratio, I would go see it today. The Long Walk was next, and that was an excellent movie that I don't need to watch again. I would put that near the top of my list this year. Keeper was an end of year relationship horror story. Frankenstein, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, I really enjoyed a lot and goes on this list. And then Wake Up Dead Man, I watched just a few days ago. Really enjoyed it. Last but not least, some new to me films I want to highlight that were not released this year, don't really belong on a 2025 list, but I'm putting it on because I watched it this year and loved it. So Sinister 2012, somehow I have not seen that movie before this year. And I was watching it with my wife and it's basically a story about a writer who has to choose between his family's safety and security and his like writing career. My wife was like, oh my God, we're watching a movie about Steve Capone. And I don't know how to take that. It Follows was another movie I just watched this year and I was really blown away by it. Phenomenal film. Peanut Butter Falcon from 2019. If you haven't seen it, you probably should. Really funny, touching film. Deadstream from 2022. That was filmed right here in Utah, and I wanted to watch it. Somebody had told me, oh, my friends made this film. It was really good. It was on Shudder, but it was a social media horror story. And if you don't know, I run Whisper House Press, and we're doing a social media anthology called Doom Scroll next year. And Deadstream was right up my alley for that reason. Hell of a Summer from 2023, I also watched this year, and I thought it was hilarious and great. And it was a really fun take on the trope. So the top films for 2025 are, drumroll please, The Things We Keep, the short from Sundance, The Librarians, documentary from Sundance, The Thing with Feathers, horror film from Sundance, The Perfect Neighbor, true crime documentary from Sundance, 2000 Meters to Andrivka, that's that war documentary from Sundance, The Monkey, Warfare, One Battle After Another, Sinners, Bring Her Back, Life of Chuck, Eddington, and Weapons. My top film of the year is One Battle After Another. My second top film is Bring Her Back, although depending on the day, those two things could probably change position. And if it had kind of a broader application, I would say 2000 Meters to Andrivka probably balances out that top three list, but it is so particular and it is so gruesome and difficult that it's hard to put it in a top three. It's not like I'm saying like, oh, you're going to feel really great when you watch this movie, but no, you will not feel great, but you will also be amazed with it. It is really something. Maybe I should say The Librarians goes in that top five. It is really timely, dealing with censorship as I do every day, worrying about going to jail for having the wrong books in the classroom. The Thing with Feathers, probably goes on that top five list as well. Oh, and let's take out The Thing with Feathers and put in Sinners. So Sinners rounds out the top five for me. Now, if we're talking just horror films, I would say Bring Her Back and Sinners very clearly are at the top of that list. I would also put The Perfect Neighbor, Zodiac Killer Project, and The Thing with Feathers super high as well. So, top horror movie of the year is Bring Her Back. I would love to know if you've got a similar list. If you want to check out my Letterboxd, I'm just gonna show it right here, but you should look me up. I would like to follow you back. I like reading people's reviews. I post my reviews on whisperhousepress.com and then I sometimes put them on Letterboxd. But that's my 2025. It was a great year for film. I'm already looking forward to Sundance 2026, and I'll probably put up a separate video about the movies I'm excited about for 2026 Sundance. It is the last year in Utah, sadly, but I am gonna definitely see 10 or 15 of the movies that are there.